Hi, now we are going to discuss how to create a try and how to use exception handling using try and catch and finally in this session. Let's create quickly a new Java project. Here we would say testing exception handling. Okay, and then this is the Java project, and then we would say next, set everything to default, and then we would remain all these tabs to be default, not going to import or import anything. Just say finish. And then we would create a project for us. Click on source, right click, new. Now we'll create a class so that we can test the exception handling. So the package would be com.source. And this would be, so the name we would write is testing try catch finally. Okay, and then we would say create a public static void main method for me. I do not want to select anything else and click finish. So this is my class. Now let's see, as we discussed, we know what exception handling is now. So for that, let's just create an array of type string. So string test is equal to new string and assign it some value saying index value is only 2. So it would say 0 and 1. So it allows only 2 now. Now I would say test of 0 of index 0 is equal to get2. So it would accept it, and then test of 1 equals to Srikanth, and then it would accept it, and then test of 2 equals Anusha, and then it would accept. It will not throw me any error. But now here, after I create an array of test, I want it to print me the saying that array test of type string is created. Okay, and then right click and say run as Java application. Here now I see exception in thread main java.land.array index out of bounds exception. Right here, when I click here, it will show me this is the error. Because I have mentioned index as 1 and I'm giving 3, it is not executing completely because an exception. Now we want this to be handled. So I would say try. I would put everything in try block, and then try has to be followed by catch. So what is the exception that we have in here? Array index out of bounds. So I would say array index out of bounds exception E. And then here I want it to catch the exception saying exception cut and then E. Now when I execute, here now in the console you can see it says exception caught java.land.array index out of bounds exception 1. It did catch it, but it did not terminate my program. So to prevent terminating, I have used try and catch. So my next statement has executed. So because I have not prevented the exception, my statement did not print. Now because I have caught the exception that is in the try block, the exception is caught over here. Now if we want and now let's discuss about finally. In finally block, as we have discussed, finally block executes before a try block. Then we would say this out to just test I am in finally block. Okay, and then here to know whether it's printing ahead, says out I am in try block. The same thing I would do for catch. This out I am in catch block. Now, if I execute, okay, run as Java application. First, after try, first it goes into the I am in catch block, exception is caught, and then it would say I am in finally block, and then it would say array test of string is created. Okay, now to see close and then form here and then run as Java application. So now we know about try, catch, blocks. So now let's discuss about the finally block. As we have discussed, the code inside the finally block always executes after the try exits. So even if there is any exception thrown by the try, the finally catches it. As we know over here, I have seen, okay, when you go into the Java tutorials, you find the finally block. So the finally block always executes when the try block exits. So to ensure to ensure that the finally block is executed, even if an unexpected exception occurs, we use the finally block. Okay, now let's implement it over here. So we just want something to happen. So this is out. We are not calling anything, but let's see. I am in finally block. Okay, and let me write here. Says out. I am in catch block. Okay, and here I am in try block before exception. Okay, and just like I am in try block after exception. Now let's execute and see the output. Run as Java application. Now if you see the output, it would say I'm in try block before the exception, and after the exception, after the exception is done, it would not print us because it would go into the catch block directly, and then catch handles the exception, and then it goes to the finally block, and then a string is displayed over here. Okay, so this is about try, catch, and finally. So in catch we know there are different types of exception handling, but the main class, as we know, is object is the main class, and then it is throwable. For the throwable, exception is the main class. So for sometimes if you want the main exception class itself to handle it, so if we know we know array index out of bounds exception, but instead of me specifying array index out of bounds exception, if I remove it and if I just say exception, the main class, even the main class will handle the exception because array index out of bounds is a subclass of all these exceptions. Like in here, it still handles. Now, there are like when I was going to the technical interview, I was asked a question: what if you have multiple catch blocks? So here I would say catch exception and E. So I am in main exception catch block, and then if I execute over here, see, you don't see anything that I am in main exception catch block, because as we know, the exception is array index out of bounds. So if you have already caught it, it would not go to another exception class again. So if we do not catch it here, it would go to the exception class. And then in this hierarchy, if you have the hierarchy here, so if you have exception main class over here, and then if you try to catch it through array index out of bound, it would not accept because it says unreachable catch block for array index out of bounds. It is already handled by catch block of exception. So because we are exception main class already handles these subclasses, we cannot have catch block after this. So the hierarchy, we cannot have catch, exception, and catch, but we can have array index, and then cache. So this is the hierarchy that we can have. I hope this tutorial helps. In the next one, we'll discuss about throw and throws.